With all the videos I've done, and it's becoming quite a few now, I've never written a script. I always just sit down, I hit record, I start talking, I do one take, and then I upload it. Um, it's been years since I've even edited anything, so I'm just gonna keep on with that fashion, because here again, um, sitting with my pillow, because I've just had liver surgery, and I'm in a lot of pain. Um, before this had even started, like, I finished chemo last year, about June, and since then, like, to be honest, I really haven't been in a good space. Um, I've been struggling mentally a lot, just getting back into the rhythm of life, rediscovering things I enjoy, coming to terms with the last prognosis that I had, which was the chemo didn't shrink the disease, it had only stabilized it in the lungs. Um, but it hadn't cured me, right? And it put me in hospital 3 times. Um, it damaged my hearing, it damaged my nerves. It really did a lot of bad. And the good was that I got stable disease, but it didn't cure anything, and it's never going to shrink anything. And I can never have surgery again either. So, um, like I'm kind of in a situation now where if the cancer started becoming active again in the lungs, there was not much that could be done for me. And I'd kind of made, or I was making peace with that, I guess is the word, where to know that if it were to start growing again, then it's pretty much the beginning of the end. And I feel there's so much anxiety all the time. Like every doctor's appointment is like, is today the day? Is today that, I find out that I'm now on a clock and I just um I was about 72 kgs towards the end of my chemo. I'm sitting at 60 at the moment. So I've dropped 12 kgs and none of that's cancer related. It's all just anxiety and depression and stress. Um and like I knew I wasn't okay. Um but I wouldn't have called myself depressed. But like every time I'm alone, whether I'm driving or sitting in my room, and like I really just sit with my thoughts, I ended up crying, and it was happening a lot, more and more. Like everything that I dealt with, I kind of just bottled up, pushed down, and um, yeah, some of my good friends actually noticed it before I did, I'd say. Um, they just noticed I didn't enjoy the things I'd normally enjoy. I wasn't talking as much. I wouldn't greet when I entered rooms. Um, I was just always in my own head space. I'd visit them, but I wouldn't be present. I was just permanently just in my head. Um, one of my good friends said, Garth, I think you're depressed. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, I'm the strongest person I know. But to be honest with myself, over these last few months, um, I don't think that's true anymore. And it's gotten quite hard. So I was already dealing with all of this, right? And I thought, I went to see the doctor early the one time, before my routine was due because I was losing so much weight, and that's one of the red flags where you should, for a cancer patient, go get yourself checked out. And they did all the physicals and whatnot, and they're like, physically you're fine, but like are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Are you? And I was like, no. And I started crying. I didn't know what to do. Um, so they convinced me to go and see a psychiatrist, which is not something I've ever done. I tried therapy um, back in 2022 when I was going through the last set of like, well, the first like really big chemo, like when I lost all my hair and stuff. And that didn't really work for me back then because I was still very emotionally together. Um, I had such a strong inner thoughts. No one could really tell me about myself that I didn't already know. But like I said lately, that it kind of wasn't quite the case. So I went and I saw the psychiatrist and whatnot, and I just started speaking. And when professionals sit there and they're actually speechless and they're like, I've never met anyone like you that's gone through as much as you have at such a young age in such a span of time. Because in June now, I'll be a cancer patient for 9 years, and I've just had my ninth surgery, and I've had chemo 3 times. Like, it's a lot. Um, in any case, cut more to the point, I already wasn't okay. I was already possibly in the worst mental state I've ever been in my life. And then I went for my routine checkup now on like the 6th of March to see like, if the cancer in my lungs had started growing again. And the good news is that it hadn't. The cancer in my lungs is still very much stable. However, they found a tumor in my liver, which is incredibly weird because adenoid cystic carcinoma isn't supposed to spread to the liver. It starts in the salivary gland, where I've had 2 operations. It then goes to the lungs, where I've had 6 operations, and then it just keeps attacking the lungs until you die. It's like that's what ACC does. That's adenoid cystic carcinoma. It's not supposed to go to the liver. But okay, June, I would have been diagnosed 9 years. I had the lump in my neck for like a year before the doctors did anything. Hello, hello. Testing. Okay. I'm not going to start over because that first bit was actually quite intense for me. Um, I don't know where it stopped recording. I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to backtrack a bit. I, in June, I would have been diagnosed for 9 years, and I already had the lump for about a year before the doctors did anything. So you could safely say that I've been a cancer patient for about 10 years already. Um, so we're now like in the more advanced stages, and I, yeah, look, it happened. So apparently the chance of that happening is 3%, and I'm the 3%. But before they want to jump to conclusions or say anything for certain, um, they suggest that I go for a liver MRI, which I went and I did. It happened relatively quickly. That was on like the 12th of March. So I had my checkup on the 6th where I had my CT scan. They found a 21 singular 25 millimeter tumor in my liver. Um, Went for the liver MRI, which confirmed that it was showing all the traits and properties of cancer. So not benign, definitely something that needs to come out. And as my luck will have it, as the tumor in my neck grew around the one nerve that operates the right side of my face, which then left me with facial paralysis, the one place in my liver where this tumor decided to grow was right at the back, where you can't really get to, right up against the main artery that leads to my heart. That artery is about 25 millimeters wide, and this is a 25 millimeter tumor. Like, they're both relatively big, so the surgeon literally has to cut you open, go in so they can get behind the liver, clamp the clamp the arteries on each side so if they cut you, you don't just bleed out, and then remove the tumor from the artery and then close you up again. Now, if this tumor was in a normal place in the liver, it would be like an hour-long operation. This took 3 hours, so it was quite a technical procedure. There was only one surgeon in Cape Town that they trust with the capabilities to do this operation. And he's operated on me before. He's the same guy that operated on my neck. So this would be the third time that he has operated on me. Went in, chatted to him about it. And this is a man that's well renowned. He's probably got thousands of operations under his belt. He's probably in like his mid 60s. And he's sitting there and he's like, how? How is someone going for 9 surgeries in 9 years at such a young age? And like it happens to me so often, whether it's mental doctors or surgeons or regular doctors or whoever, people just cannot believe that I exist. And like I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, I kind of inflated my ego a bit because I felt like a superhero, like I could take on anything, like nothing could stop me. It was almost like a flex. But now I'm just so tired of this, and like I don't care for the praise anymore. Like people tell me all the time how phenomenal I am, or how inspirational, or how strong I am, and I just don't care for it anymore. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. I just want this to be over. It's consuming my life completely. I already wasn't okay. Now I get told we're not supposed to have another very technical operation out for another 4 to 6 weeks. And like, who am I doing this for? Like who am I doing this for? Because I'd come to terms that if it started growing in the lungs, you know, I've already exhausted all the sources of treatment out there for me. But now it's in the liver, new organ. All of a sudden, everything becomes available again. Like I can go for surgery, I can have radiation, they can look at chemo. It's a whole new fight from the beginning, and I'm just not willing to do it. Who am I doing it for? Because the answer of you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it for your family, it's not enough. It's not enough anymore. I don't care for it. I just want this to be over. I'm at a point now where this disease either needs to kill me or leave because just for like perspective, 9 years, right? Over those 9 years, 9 major surgeries now. Each time I go for one of these surgeries, it takes about 4 months for my life to return to normal. That means full mobility, habits to return to normal. All of it stops my life for about 4 months, like recovery plus the other bit afterwards. So that's already like a third of these 9 years is recovering from surgery. Then I've had chemo 3 times. Now, I would say from starting chemo to life returning to normal is about a 9 months period. You're poisoned for 6 months, and then it takes so long to adjust afterwards, to find your rhythm, to find things you enjoy, to just put it behind you and move on. So you can condense all of that into this time frame and see how much of my adult life over these past 9 years that I have had to put effort into dealing with cancer. And on top of that, I'm still trying to build a career. I'm trying to get a degree. I'm trying to stay healthy. I'm trying to build and maintain social relationships. And it's just too much. It's too much. And I am not willing to do it anymore. I don't want to do it. But in any case, I went for this surgery because surgery is like the lesser of all the other things that could happen. On top of all of that, I'm permanently in pain. Like day-to-day business, I'm in pain. I can pick up Schedule 5 pain meds whenever I want, and I basically live off these things. Like all over my body, whether it's my chest, by my ribs, my neck, my face. And it's all side effects of the previous surgeries I've had, or the radiation that I had in 2017. And it's getting to the point where the treatments are worse than the disease, and I can't deal with it anymore. And now I need to go for another surgery and have a new scar in a new place, which is probably going to come with more body aches and pains going forward. I don't know, it's like I said, it's a lot. But I went and I've had this surgery now on the 25th of March. So from diagnosis to surgery was the 6th to the 25th. It all happened relatively quickly. That's one thing we can be grateful for. The medical field in South Africa is actually pretty on top of it with private care. Um, and the surgery itself was a success. They got all of it out, thank the Lord, by zero point 0.2 millimeters. Otherwise, I don't know. They would, if it would have been a second surgery or radiation, probably radiation. They got it all. Um, the doctor does recommend I go back on chemo, but I'm not doing it. I refuse to go back on chemo. I'm not doing it a fourth time. Like, they've cut it out. They say they've got it all. That has to be enough. But the lab results did confirm that it is my adenoid cystic carcinoma. It's not a second cancer, which was a curious question mark because of how unlikely that spread was. Like maybe it's actually liver cancer, but it's not. It's a salivary gland. It's the salivary gland cancer. It's adenoid cystic carcinoma, and as the last many years of my life has confirmed, it's a very, very evasive disease. And now it's in my liver. So yeah, it's out. But in another year, I'm not going to be surprised if there's 2 or 3 more tumors growing there, because that's what ACC does. You don't get rid of it. At least that's how it feels and how it's working. Every time they cut something out of my lungs, 3 more tumors grow. So I've had liver surgery number 1. How high is that going to have to go? I don't know. But I'm very close to really saying, no, I am done. I'm done with chemo. Definitely. I don't want to do radiation, and I don't know how many more times I'm gonna let doctors cut me. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm still not in a good space. Um, I'm currently at home recovering. I've been given 4 weeks off from work, which is very generous of my employer because I ran out of sick leave last year during chemo because cancer patients get the same amount of sick leave as healthy people. And I don't even know if I'm gonna finish my degree because why? Yeah, I'd like to just complete it and get it done, but in another year or so, I'm probably gonna be back here. Like this isn't the end of it. I just know it to be true. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Nine nine surgeries, three chemos, radiation, active disease, possibly. Well, stable disease in my liver. Who knows? Sorry, stable disease in my lungs. Who knows what's still in the liver on a microscopic level? Because I'm not going to do the chemo because it's going to be the same chemo that I was on last time. Okay, I'm just going in circles now. But that's where I'm at. Not super happy about it, but we're still alive. And yeah, that's that.